Hey guys, Andy Yan, spoken label, reading time. Yes, with my mate John, not John Clifford, John C. I like that. He's copying me. I've just realised it. Everyone knows. Is that the plan today? That John was it to try and
I
change your name.
I only imitate the greats. That's
I doubt it. You don't imitate me, mate. You're heading for trouble. Right, people, seriously. John's got two poems for us here. Neither are in the book, apparently, either. So, ooh, could be in book number two, maybe. I know, mate. It's an over to you, buddy. Take it away, mate.
perfect. Thank you very much. The first poem I will do is a love poem of sorts. I've, as many poets have done, I've written many love poems over the years. Some to people who I now maybe feel like don't deserve them, but this is a love poem that I've written for an ever-present love in my life. A food. This is an ode to garlic. The stalwart draught horse of all my cooking. Sauces, marinades, chewed raw to stall sore throats, slipped from its purpling robes when old, or smashed with the flat of a honed fat blade when young. Newly plucked from the market stall, the old Frenchman had brought sticks and mats and table slats from sister lands across the sea, which he heaved into alignment early, early, and draped a comically large tricolour over. Later, after his bitter tin flask of black liquor had been drained dry, calling out to his gathered flock of England, France is here! France is here to show you what good food can really be. Delphi's seer, that old French cellar, counting with the firm pads of his thumbs the garland bulbs which would and will become the backing currency of fully half the food that I will ever love. God, delicious food. Think spicy, salty, sticky, pungent, sweet, and zesty, life affirming food. The really stunning, get your tits out and show the world what you can really do food, and all the rest of it too. The fragrant oil base from the only pasta sauce you'd learned to make when you first left home. The grid crushed pulping fibers dropped to bomb some flavor into a bowl of soup. The bisected, beheaded whole bulbs hedonistically tossed with rosemary and steaming peeled spuds. It's ever present. I could be half made of the stuff. And so comfortable on my counter, bedded in its dedicated bowl that it grows there. It actually grows there. Green tipped spears hanging loosely from the brim and drinking in the light. As fundamental as bread. And yes, garlic bread is also pretty good. And the second piece I'll do is a bit of a change in tone. This is a piece called Looking Back, and it is a piece about my Irish heritage and my relationship to my family history. I think it's fairly self explanatory, so I will just go into it. This is Looking Back. If I can remember the line of it, good grief. I always knew that my view of Ireland was a little misty eyed. I grew up down in London, so the pride I took in my history was born mainly from school holidays. Summer would arrive, and so would we, less than fresh, so ferried on the overnight from Swansea. My dad would tell me and my sisters stories of Finn McCool and Cú Cullen, and in between the rest stops and the sullen waiting and praying for the rain to end, we'd look out the window of the family car as it snaked round high hedge bends and wonder if somewhere out there between those hills the myths were still alive. That came first. What followed in later years was family history. You know, I think that every Irish family holds within its annals some well remembered tragedy. It comes through in the art and in the songs, and if so pressed by a lack born of oppression, the noble response has always been to doggedly pursue the best future that we could. I think it was in that spirit years ago. My parents moved from Limerick and Kerry up to UCD, then down to London, gave their children shelter, health, and all that we could ask for, as well as accents that don't quite match our passports. And I spend surprising time in worry now that though I'm ever proud of that Hale heritage, there is a disconnect. Because, see, I'll call those visits going home, with a confidence that seems correct, but arrive there far from certain. Because home is never known solely as some poetic paradise in your head, no. Home is a place of boring chores and a catalogue of rainy afternoons, of arguments and teary eyed familial hilarity, a place to be recalled all through experience and held in perfect clarity. So, I don't know. I don't know entirely who I am, apart from that I'm me. If I've overblown these feelings that better be dismissed, or truly rolled a little ways too far from my own family tree, because see, Mum will pull out albums and we'll shuffle through the sheafs. She'll enumerate and ruminate on close collected collages of relatives, illuminating each in warm relief, regaling me with tales of who they loved and knew, and with that ever present melancholy telling how some fell like leaves from branches when unwelcome gusts and gales blew. That's the man who was engaged to your great grandma, except that soldiers came one night and dragged him out the bed, then pulled him further down a country road to leave him dead. There she is herself. When she wouldn't give them lessons, they came and smashed up her piano. And there's your great granduncle who stood fast at GPO. And then your granddad, who, as a boy, would flee bent back from black and tans, who shot out cottage windows from atop their vans while on patrol. And there's your handsome dad. When the airport lads took us to question, Irish, and from London, so you say, well, we'll let you leave if you can list the tube stops that go north between Baker Street and Willesden Green, and if you can't, you'll stay. Rich running seams of hurt beset our histories like rot. I'm proud and lucky that my family's response has been to lift their children higher than themselves with a grim and steadfast generational determination. And I've had a privileged start compared to so many others, and I shouldn't waste those wonders I've been given. Yeah, when I look back, I wonder where I should go place myself amongst my forebear kith and kin, the ones that did so sit and sing on rust bucket boats that bore them back to Dublin from the Welsh internment camps, or Rocher de Bachtawalia, Anish ar hocht and Tauri, oh row, welcome home. Now that summer's coming. Because I could sing those self-same words 1,000 times and never find the full measure of their meaning. I suppose that I can only carry on to till the verdant plot that those who came before have left for me. And hopefully, in their memory, that will be enough. Thank you very much.
Stuff that, John. Two really, really good varied pieces there. Now, obviously, I need a couple of questions I want to ask you about these. So I've not heard of either of these pieces on this podcast
Mm,
before.
mm.
I've heard the garlic piece, definitely heard that one before. And I've not heard the Irish one. But so tell us about, first of all, then, about your where did your love of garlic come from then?
From all good food I've ever eaten, I think. It's it's just been it's always it's the fundamental one of those fundamental bases of cooking, isn't it? And I actually I was lucky enough to go and be part of a writing workshop where the person who was leading it gave around different very fragrant foodstuffs, and like gave you one and basically said, see what memories or what feelings this elicits in you. And so they gave me this garlic bulb, and I couldn't really get much from it, so I did that thing of like pressing it on my hands just to like get it to crack a little bit. And when I smelled it, I immediately just thought of like, well, everything that I've done cooking with it, and also the like there was a Norman French market that would come to outside the library where I grew up down in London back when I was a kid, and me and my dad would go there. And there was a guy who was always selling massive wreaths of garlic. So it just, yeah, it unlocked all of those memories.
Brilliant. Now, obviously, we talk about your background, like you did on your second piece about your Irish background.
Mm,
I've had this for myself, and I've done massive research pieces of my own family because I've got like my dad's mum was from Dublin, and
mm,
his dad was from Edinburgh, and I know I've done pieces on both of them, particularly his dad over in Edinburgh. There's always stuff you find out about your family when you research your background.
mm.
Was this apparent when you did this piece? Was it as well?
I think so, yeah. I mean, the piece really came from it was me trying to express something about all of the kind of stories and the narrative and the threads around my family that really I'd been just brought up with. It was things that my mum especially was always kind of telling us about, like our roots and our Irish past. I think it is a fairly common thing for Irish people who raise their children in England, that they want to make sure that they have that thread still to their Irish identity. Um, and so yeah, it really just kind of came through that, through all of the stories that she told. I'm conscious that to be Irish at one point in this country was like, it was a racialized category. Basically, there's the very famous, always like the whole kind of
No, I,
signs that would be up
yeah.
outside of, yeah, no
Yeah,
blacks,
no
no Welsh,
Irish,
no
no
Irish.
blacks. Yeah, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the honestly,
Um,
unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember that being said because in the 80s we used to see it around Moss Side sometimes, and it's
yeah.
horrific to see it was.
Yeah. And it's really, really, I don't know, it's really illustrative to me, and it's informative to me that obviously I'm very lucky. I've grown up at a time at which that is not really a view I think that's held of, at least not in a structural way or in a widespread way, that's held of Irish people in this country anymore. And it's always been to me a really illustrative thing of how, like, just absolutely fictional and made up all principles that inform racist thinking are, because it's like, it's it's made up. It's not something that people just gave up on it and forgot about it, basically, probably after kind of the Good Friday Agreement and the end of the Troubles. But like, it's just one of those things where you're like, this is something that informed so much hatred in this country at one point, and it's so strange to have the history of that and the thread of that in your family's past. But obviously, for myself, to anyone who like might even care about that kind of stuff, like I seem like an English person, really, so they wouldn't give me any trouble. So yeah, it all kind of came through that and my relationship with my history through that piece.
No, fair play. No, great stuff. There's two great pieces there, John. They show a very different side to your book. And we'll leave
Yes.
it at that. We'll give no more hints away. 'Cause I know there's
Yeah.
stuff coming up, but we'll leave that for next time. I promise you, people. So, because
Stunning.
there's already enough threads knocking around. John's been hinting to me during this podcast. I think they didn't know him before. You will see him back before you know it. I promise you that. So, listen, mate. Loved it today. It's been great to catch up with you, mate, and heart my heart to you as well, mate. So, a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, guys, goes, yes, now head over to the wonderful world of TikTok now. Yes, now I would say we're hanging out with the kids, but John's old enough to just about to get away with it. I'm not, right? So we'll still say we're hanging out with the kids. Head over to TikTok next, because that'll be out before this one. But John's going to do two more pieces for us from the book. So listen, people, it's been a pleasure today with John. So as Don Callis over at AEW Wrestling says, stay safe, stay over, and we'll see you all next time.